Huh. It's cold out. It's about 8 degrees Fahrenheit right now and about a 10 below wind chill, which is about 10 degrees warmer than it was this morning and last night. We're having an issue getting enough LP pressure up to our grain dryer in order to keep this burning the way that it needs to be, because we don't have a pump on that tank, and when it gets this cold, it's hard to feed the LP into the grain dryer. It's not uncommon for us to see a supply shortage this time of year when the corn is wet. We are going to need another tanker load yet later this week. We're down to about 540, 550 acres right now at this time. And sadly, my time with this Capello header ends in about 1 hour. The folding is awesome. The advantage is obviously you can leave it on the machine and fold it up. The disadvantage is the complexity of the header and the cost. It holds way more residue on top of the feeder house. It's not a big deal, it's just a minor pain in the butt. It's this shield system right here in the middle that you see. It holds the cobs in to feed them into the feeder house. The problem is, you can see it's already ripped the curtain all to heck, and some of the welds on the shield itself have broken. I'll actually get it plugged up between the augers and the shields several times a day. If we were gonna run this header a lot longer or in more down corn, we would remove that shield and see if it would keep the cobs in without that shield. Like I say, I like the idea, but it just didn't function that well for us. Coming out here, you'll see how aggressive the gathering chains are and how they stick out. If they're not shielded here by the cones, they do a much better job of grabbing the corn that's down low. I really like the way that these are set aggressive like that. Speaking of the snouts, these look to be a little shorter and a little narrower than the John Deere ones, which really helps for going around corners and sometimes trying to pick up the down corn, because I think having these exposed like this is a big advantage in some of that down corn. These are awesome. But if you've got corn that's broke over or bent over, or you're dealing with point rows, these keep the corn feeding in so you don't get that side buildup like you do with a lot of heads. Underneath here, these do an awesome job of chopping the residue. They push the residue down instead of to the side, which is the reason for not having any curtains between them. This curtain system in the back is much simpler than the Deere system, and it doesn't shroud the trash in quite so much. Overall, it's a good piece, and we would not personally hesitate to own this head at all. You know, they've all got good and bad about them. This is a pretty good header. Well, at least it's windy. Boy, that diesel's moving a little slow today. Well, he's going around with a little hammer and hitting on the pegs. We're wondering if they're froze in down here. Those are the pegs that actually pin the header on and lock it on, and they're controlled through this quick coupler. So I'm wondering if they're stuck in place. That didn't work. Well, I set it down on the ground to try and move the pressure on the pins and wiggle it back and forth, and that didn't do it either. He went back in the shop. We'll see what he comes out with next. Maybe a torch? Well, it took two of us. One guy whacking the pin with a hammer, the other guy moving the quick coupler. It just needed a little extra leverage. The left side pin was wedged in there a little bit. So now we got to take out this temporary switch, the 12-volt switch we had rigged up, in order to use the folding mechanism, which just runs up down here through the floor mat.
Not as good as they were this summer when we gave it to them.
You want that one now? No, maybe that one? That one? Oh, it is miserably windy out there, and we are back to our Deere header, and now the pins on this one are definitely frozen into place. So we're gonna whack them with a hammer and see if we can get this one on. Good morning, Jim, or afternoon, or whatever it is now. I am having a real hard time filming this outside today, guys. It is below zero wind chill. It's incredibly miserable out there. But now the drive shafts to hook this header up are frozen.
Just go straight back, we'll probably be okay.
So the drive shafts are frozen. We've got to get this thing indoors, inside, and thaw those out in order to get the drive shafts on. for the header. And it sucks out there. The 9560 was parked over here on the concrete pad. Luckily it did start so that I could move it. When it's this cold out, things have a lot of problems starting, but so far we've been lucky, everything's fired up. I'm gonna head over and get a heat gun out of this other shed. Part of the reason that shop always looks so clean is because half our stuff is still over in the old shop over here where we can't actually fit any of the newer equipment because it's only got a 10-foot door on it. It's gotta be over here. No luck. Huh. If we can get this old thing to light up, these things kind of suck. Now the internal memory on our screen here is full, which means I have to export the data to a USB stick to make internal memory on the screen so that we can get our harvest maps. Begin transfer. This corn isn't standing great. It's a little bit knocked over, a little twisted up, but this is just the end rows here, and it's definitely considerably better than the stuff we had 5 miles south. Seven, if you want to just go ahead and turn around down there somewhere, I'll just dump you when I get there, and then we'll take off and head around the rest of the field. Poor Jim is just getting rattled apart inside there today. With as frozen as the ground is now, there is no cushion between him and the ground, and it is just shaking him apart. I can feel it inside this thing, but it isn't so bad because I got big tires underneath me. That thing being on tracks like that, probably beating him up pretty good inside there. Uh-oh. It looks freezing cold in the bathroom. Yep. So cold the sink was froze up. 7, that should be enough to fill that truck so you can just take off and fill him, and I'll just get to that other one when I get up there. 5 to 7, that's a truckload. I think now would be a good time to hop out, stretch the legs, and see what kind of job we're doing. Oh. Boy, this dirt is frozen. It's rough riding in the combine. Jim's getting bounced around in that RT. I mean, honestly, I think poor Jim could probably use one of those new 8RXs. What do you guys think? I mean, I think we should save Jim and get him an 8RX for that grain cart. Cue the Sarah McLaughlin. You know, for just one 8RX a year, you could save a Jim. Restroom.
Be in a hurry, Zach. I gotta go empty on the other truck.
I needed to see. They sent someone with a laptop and they used like Yahoo Messenger just for me.
Boy, she is steaming tonight. Only one more thing left to do tonight here. That sure looks pretty cool tonight, huh? Everything looks good back here. Looks like we're looking all good here. I'll be out around 3 to check this thing again. I think we're all good. What do you think, Didge? Luckily now I can monitor the dryer from in the office at all hours of the night. So if everything looks fine here, I probably don't even need to go out there at 3 o'clock. Thanks, Dakota Micro.